Robert, how do you see Donald Trump's speech going down tomorrow there? Is Davos gearing up for an EU-US showdown?
I don't think so. I think that Chancellor Merkel and President Macron have given speeches, really driving home anti-isolationism, anti-protectionism, a stronger EU, etc. This is the Davos mentality. And I think they'll listen politely to President Trump. I think he will give a softer speech. He'll talk about it's not a trade war, it's just about better trade deals. America wants alliances, etc. So I think they'll listen politely to him, but the world is marching on without him in a way, because this is the first time in 75 years that Europeans do not automatically assume U.S. leadership in sync with their own goals and desires.
That's absolutely true. What about foreign policy? Do you think people there will be expecting a new vision from Donald Trump on that, particularly in regard to the situation in Syria as those UN talks are taking place right now in Vienna?
I'm very skeptical about a new foreign policy from President Trump. I think if you look at what's happened in the past year, the withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was the greatest self-inflicted error the United States committed in Asia since the Vietnam War, the uncertainty about just how committed to NATO and Europe President Trump is, the Middle East, where he has not really articulated a vision, a post-ISIS vision. And also, remember, this is an administration where there are so many jobs left to be filled. Deputy undersecretaries, undersecretaries, assistant secretaries in the Pentagon, in the State Department, which have not been filled. So you cannot, because America is a world power, it requires a whole bureaucracy to articulate and orchestrate and implement a world vision. And for the first time in decades, we have an American president working without a full staff behind him.
Not to mention as well that this is an American president that's heading there to Davos with allegations of collusion with Russia hanging over his head.
Yes, I think the Russia angle is a bit downplayed this week at Davos. What's really coming out at Davos, I've been here for 4 days already, is that Europe is going forward, for integration, anti-isolationism, anti-protectionism. It's a very much opposite of Trump orientation, regardless of what Trump says tomorrow.
Robert, what's the feeling there about Trump as a businessman? During all of his decades as a businessman, he was never invited to the World Economic Forum. He's coming now as U.S. president. After all, the economy does seem to be thriving under him.
Yes, exactly as you said, he's never been invited to Davos. A lot of people have never met him. They've never dealt with him. He's never been one of the business people who have been integrated into the global elite, meeting with policymakers, taking an interest in world affairs. He's completely separated from that world, so that people here are very skeptical of him. On the other hand, people here are happy that, stock portfolios are doing great, the markets are doing great, and Trump's tax reform package, whatever you may say about it, has been good for financial markets. However, there's a kind of an irony here in Davos this time in 2018, which are people are very happy about their portfolios, but they're very, very nervous about geopolitics. They feel the geopolitical situation is very, very fragile, and that Trump is partly responsible for that.
Robert, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us. So that's political and security analyst Robert Kaplan there talking to us live from Davos.